today's video, we're going to see how we can download and install and run Maya on your computer. So what is Maya? Maya is a modeling software, so you can create 3D models, 3D scenes. You can also create animation and materials, textures, and many more things. Now you can see here, if you search for images in Google, you will have a lot of examples of how this software is used, and it's usually choose for the creation of characters for video games, or also for entire scenes or worlds that you can then export in a real engine or other similar application, and you can use them for your video games again, or 3D animations and things like that. Now you will find a couple of versions of Maya. You will find the full version, which is a little bit more expensive, and then you will find the Maya Lite version. Now Maya Lite, it's well, most of all, it's less expensive, and so it's affordable by anyone, and can be used to create 3D modeling, polygonal modeling, NURBS modeling, and to create also materials and textures in the, let's say, standard version. So yes, you can create material slides, but they will not have any render engine to be tested with. So I think that then when you finish your 3D model with your basic textures, you can export it in other software. You can continue to work in other software if you want, or you can then go to the Autodesk Maya full version, which is going to have all the features that the software can give you, like also advanced render engine. I think it's Arnold at the moment. Now you can also use, for example, other software again to do both 3D modeling and rendering, or just rendering, like Cinema 4D. You can export in Cinema 4D. You can export in Blender, which is completely free and open source. Or you can go, for example, in 3ds Max, which is actually more expensive, I think, than Maya, but you can continue there. And for example, 3ds Max is used for architecture, interior design mostly, but also in video games and other entertainment business as well. So 3ds Max and Maya are both from Autodesk, so these are kind of twins software. They look pretty, well, they don't look similar, but they do similar things, like polygonal modeling. Now, what is polygonal modeling? It's a type of modeling that is based on polygons, basically. Now, for those of you who don't know, polygons are the basics of 3D. And the other option is to model with NURBS, which are curves and surfaces, and a software that you can use to model with NURBS. Well, the most famous, the most popular is Rhinoceros. Now, you will find a lot of video guides and video courses in our channel, so check it, or you can type your questions and comments or suggestions for other users. Now, right now I'm downloading and installing Maya Lite, or LT, and this is what we are going to use in this series of videos. So you can buy it. It's again not expensive at all, or you can also download the free version, which is free version basically for trial, for testing, or you have also a student version. Now I'm sorry, right now I'm typing in Italian, but just explaining to you what I'm doing. So you can search for student version or trial version, and you can download both Maya, the complete application, or the Lite application, as you like. But in this series of videos, we're gonna use Maya Lite. So I'm gonna show you here. You can just go to search for Maya Lite, get into the official website of Autodesk, and you can buy them. You have a monthly subscription, or you can have the annual or the perpetual. You have many different types of licenses, so you can decide which one is for you. And again, you may want to start with a trial or with a student version, and then when you're ready to work with that and go forward, you can get the professional version. Now, another render engine you can use is V-Ray. It's V-Ray, and V-Ray is a render engine that you can use in many software, not just Maya. But be careful because you cannot use it at the moment for V-Ray Maya Lite. So you can just use V-Ray for Maya, not V-Ray for Maya Lite. But there are many open source and other tools out there like Armor Paint. It's one, for example, which can help you to create textures and materials. Also, Substance from Adobe is not expensive, and it's the same thing of Armor Paint. And so you can, again, start your work in Maya and then continue. And if you have Maya Lite, you can, for example, not use V-Ray because you cannot use it for Maya Lite, but you can use Unreal Engine, which is one of the best and open source, completely free and open source, until you reach some earnings that I think are pretty high, like $1 million or something like that, and then you need to buy it. But you need to sell games for 1 million, I guess. Now another, it's Unity. Same logic, so it's completely free and open source until you reach a level of earnings that is gonna let you buy it with no problems. So these are many options that you can use once you're finished with Maya Lite. You can also find video guides in this playlist or in the channel that will explain to you how to export from Maya to all these different software, and also you'll find in the channel other video courses on and video guides on Unreal Engine and V-Ray and a lot of other things. Now this is just an introduction. It's an overview of where we are at with Maya and how we can make it work with other software basically. Now let's get started in introducing Maya itself. Well, Maya Lite and Maya Professional or Standard are pretty much the same. They only differ because they, well, you can check also in the official website what are the main differences, but basically the interface is the same. It works exactly the same. Now what changes are the tools. So this is a pop-up that's gonna show you which are the new tools in the newest version of Maya, or the one that you will use. So you can say okay here, and we can go forward. Now all the new features will be highlighted in green in every version. So I was telling you that the interface is the same. Now what changes are the available tools and features that you have in the application. So if you use the light version, you won't have all the tools and features that you have in the full version, but still will have a lot of interesting features. And for the price that you are buying it, I think it's a good bargain. And it's a little bit cheaper than Cinema 4D actually, but well, actually Cinema 4D also has some render engine there, and you can create animation and renderings, and then you can install V-Ray. So, you know, all software have pros and cons, and you need to figure out which one works best for you. And this is what we're gonna do here. Now, let's start with the interface. First thing, we have these drop-down menus just like any other software out there. And one thing that could be useful here in drop-down menus is that we can find the various commands and also the shortcut keys beside. So you can memorize those shortcut keys and you can use them to speed up your work a lot. So this is the first suggestion here. And I'm gonna start with the basic things, and then we're going to increase the level video by video. It's not gonna be a really difficult video course, but it's gonna have some advanced notions. So you can click also from that little square and open up additional panels when you want. Now, first thing we're gonna do here is save the scene. This is probably one of your first action. And don't worry if you are new to 3D, again, because we're gonna start from the basics and then we're gonna move forward and forward. Okay, so I need to save here before I do anything, because this is to secure all the things that I will do. I can also create a new scene here, and I have some initial settings that we're gonna skip for now. And you can create a new scene, open scene, save scenes, and shortcut key is beside. So if you want to make it that faster, you can use it. Now, one shortcut key that I use a lot is Control S, which is for quick saving, and I do that not only in Maya but also in other software. So just I think that's one of the most useful. Now, the first time you're gonna save is gonna ask you the first things here, which will be the folder where you want to save it and the name. So the first time you will save is gonna do like this. Either if you use the save or the save as command, it's gonna be exactly the same. And here you can see that this is kind of a explorer for Maya. It looks similar to the one for Windows. You're gonna type down there the name and then save it, and that's it. And you can see now at the top you're gonna have the name of the file that you're saving. Okay, now if you do a new scene, you need to go through all that again, or you go to recent files and open up the recent files, which was the lesson 00 or 01, whatever you want to call it. And so you can open, close. You can also import from this first menu. You can export your work. We're gonna see that later. You can send to Unity and send to Unreal. You can see here how these are gonna work perfectly together. And second one here is for editing, and third is for creating. Now this is where we're going to start to create stuff and place it inside our 3D scene. Now you have NURBS like Rhinoceros, like Rhino 3D. We can create some NURBS primitives. Then we have polygon primitives, and then we have lights, cameras, and curves, so 2D drawings and other things that usually we'll find in other also 3D application as well. And here we have some other drop-down menus like selection, modify, and also we can set up display where we are working, which is the middle, the most important part, which is this main window here, gray window with the grid inside. That's where we're gonna work most of the time. And here we have the possibility to change the interface. So this is where you will go workspace when you want to set up a different workspace, or you want to open up other panels and other command bars or other windows like editors. This one here is called Ibergraph, which is one of the editors that you're not gonna open up so frequently, but it's there. And sometimes you already have panels docked on the interface on the right side or on the left side. And you can change the workspace from Maya Classic to other types. For example, if you want to model, you have modeling. If you want to sculpt, you have sculpting, like ZBrush or Matbox. You have a set of sculpting tools here. But I'm going to use Maya Classic so you don't get confused. I'm gonna stick to that. Then when you're more expert, you can also create and save your current, your customized interface. Okay, and here you have tools. Now, if you work with polygonal primitives or polygonal models, you will use mesh tools, because mesh is another way you can call a polygonal model, basically. So it's an object based on the faces on polygons. Polygons are nothing but faces. And then you have other drop-down menus here, again for meshes, so for polygonal modeling. And you can tell by these menus that Maya is mostly polygonal modeling than NURBS modeling. So you will find NURBS commands, NURBS features in any software, but I think that the best is Rhino. You can find a video course in Rhino. in the channel. Okay, and here you have curves, so we can also draw in 2D, kind of AutoCAD or a CAD application. We can create vector graphics like Illustrator for graphic design, or we can create like plans for architecture, or also for industrial design and product design. And then we have also here other tools for surfaces, which are gonna be NURBS surfaces. So I don't think that you will find here the term NURBS, but this is what they are. When you use curves, you can then convert curves into surfaces and then convert surfaces into solids, into 3D objects, which are gonna be polysurface and closed polysurface. But again, this is explained if you want in the Rhino video course. And then you have some deforming and some UV editing tools for materials and textures and mapping and things like that, which are gonna be explained later on. So don't worry about all this stuff. This is just to show you where you can find things inside the interface, but we're gonna go into deep with all this stuff later on. Also, we have marketplace and help. If you need some additional help, you can find it there. Now, so those were the menus, but I think that they are pretty, and these are like tabs or toolbars, but they contain the same commands that you find in the menus. And I wanted to go through all these just to show you that you will find the same things maybe in 1 or 2 or 3 different parts of the interface. Now you have here some part concerning the rigging of the animation or animated characters. You have the animation tab, you have these shading, which is not great again in this Maya Lite. So you only have standard material, standard lights, standard render engine. Pretty, let's say, low quality, not realistic quality, but you can still set the basics here and then move forward to another software or to Maya Professional. And Arnold in that case is the render. Okay, and down there you saw the timeline. So basically I just wanted to go through here all these menus and toolbars because these are kind of a path that we're gonna follow. So we're gonna start with creating models and then adding materials and lights and so on. Now in the right part we have some, let's say, palettes or panels that you can open up and close depending on what you need to do. So if you need to model in polygonal modeling fashion, you can open up this tool settings, this toolkit, or you have other panels here for attributes or objects, and this one here are additional settings. So we're gonna see this later, just to show you that you can change here and switch from one panel to the other. You can do that from those buttons at the top, or with these panels directly. You can switch, you can adjust them, make it bigger, smaller. And these are layers also that usually are in any 3D software. And you can see here you can switch also from this sidebar on the extreme right side. All right, so nothing too difficult to understand. And left side here we have another toolbar, which these are selections and transformations, and then you can change also the layout from 1 view to 4 view. And you can see here that we can switch back to the perspective, which is gonna be probably the most important one, but also the 2D views are pretty important. And we have here a grid. We have some heads-up display there that we can decide to keep or not. Down there we also have the timeline again, and this is the CTI. We can click and drag the current time indicator. We're gonna see how we can work with animation at the end of the video course. So just be patient there. Take your time, especially if you're not an expert. we're gonna go through all of these different tools and features of Maya, but we're gonna keep it nice and easy, and we're gonna increase the level video by video. So don't worry about the first video. Is gonna be like for real beginners like this one, and then we're gonna increase the complexity and the difficulty little by little. So for the more expert, just skip and go to the other videos. Now we're gonna do an example here. We're gonna go to create, which is one of the first section that we're gonna explore after we understand better how to work with the software itself. And so you can see here that I can create NURBS primitives and polygons primitives. You can undock the menus, you can leave it floating around, or you can then dock it somewhere if you want to customize the interface. Now I'm gonna use the text command, so just click with the left mouse on that command. I created a simple text placed here in the middle of my scene, which is my x0, epsilon 0, z0. X, epsilon, z are the three axes that you're gonna work with in a 3D space, and they are, you can move around here holding the Alt key and using the left mouse, the scroll wheel by pressing the scroll wheel, and the right mouse. Those are the navigation tools that you can use. So Alt click, Alt left click, and Alt middle click, and Alt right click. Those are the pan around, orbit, and zooming features. And also you can scroll the wheel if you want to do the zoom. And if you want to select, just click with the left mouse and delete with the delete key. And I'm gonna type a new text here. I'm gonna create a new text from create. I'm gonna type Maya, and I'm gonna change the font as well. This is something that you usually do in software like Word, Microsoft Word, or things like that. So you probably know already this stuff. So I've selected a font that I have downloaded from the web, and I can set up a size. And decide if it has to be curves or trims or polygons or bevel. Now polygons is gonna be more a 3D object than the one that you saw before, which were simply curves, so simply vector graphics. You can change here if you want triangles or other types of polygons. And also bevel, it's a little bit better because it's gonna add a little bevel in the edges of the object. It's gonna look a little bit more realistic. And this is usually how Maya works. So it's gonna pass you through these panels where you can define some options for the creation of your element, of your object, of your model, and then you can say apply, and you're gonna see it. Now if you don't like it, you cannot, well, you can stay on the panel, delete there, and just change the parameters a little bit, and then recreate it or apply the new settings. So I'm gonna change here a little bit the bevel width because it was a little bit bigger, and say apply. Say okay, yeah, looks better, but maybe I want to do something different. So I get back here and change. Well, I can select that left mouse to select, and then delete, and then I can move around here a little bit with these parameters and recreate it again. Now this is basically parametric modeling, when we model by setting parameters. So we have, this is another type of modeling basically that we usually have in any software. Okay, now it looks fine to me, so I'm gonna close this, and there's my first object, my first text. And of course this is just the beginning, just to get you going, to explain to you the basics of Maya. And that's it for this video. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe to the channel, and if you want to support us, join the channel as a supporter. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.